affected by me. And as she went on her own healing journey, she then discovered that based on the work of Deepak Chopra, what Deepak Chopra said was, what he noticed was, doctors were not interested in what's the reason somebody heals. They were more interested in what's the illness, what's the diagnosis. And what Chopra found was, certain people healed. They just healed. We want to know what's the reason they're healing. And Chopra came up with 3 reasons that they were healing. One is that they had direct access to what we call the cell memory. That's the memory within the body that stores that particular illness or mental issue or emotional issue or physical issue. And the second was that they got access to the body's infinite intelligence or wisdom. You can call it source, you can call it God, you can call it field, call it what you want. I don't mind, I call it source because it's just a generic name for now that has no religious connotation. But you can call it whatever it is you want to call it. And my dear friend E equals MC squared, what's his name? Einstein, that's it. He called it love. He said at the end of the day when you have a cell, there was one component of the cell that he could never define. And he called it love. So call it what you want. And then the third is that you actually release the emotions powerfully. So when the emotions release powerfully, what happens is the cell receptors actually open up. So if I get a little bit technical, sometimes if I'm too technical, please stop me. I have a PhD in cancer research from Oxford University, and then ironically, I myself got abnormal cells. Isn't it funny? And I never use any of the stuff that I invented in the laboratory. I ended up using alternate healing. Nothing to do with, I think it was what was I playing with in the lab? Something called tamoxifen. It's a very famous cancer drug actually. There was no way I was going anywhere near it. In fact, I feel when I used to work in the lab, that was partly responsible for my cancer because I used to inhale a lot of sodium lauryl sulfate. It's a substance you get in soap. That's why I don't use any soap. You know, like that soap, you know, I have a lot. What I mean is that particular component of soap. So Rita is good. You know, you get Rita. Rita is very good. It's a very, very good alternate soap to use instead. We have it all in our tradition. Everything exists. Go back to this, give up the data, the PNG and the Unilever. Go back to how they used to do it in the olden days, you know? And everything is pure and natural there. So what happens is when we have a cell, our cells have receptors. And the cell receptors can get blocked sometimes. Now, when we allow, so this is like a block on the cell receptor. And if there is a block, it cannot communicate with another cell. And we need our cells to communicate with each other. If you think about it. Think about ants. Ants building an anthill. Not that you want your ants building an anthill in your house. Just take it as an example. Now, do they need to communicate with each other to get the teamwork going and build that mountain? So similarly, our cells need to also communicate within ourselves to be able to build that, whatever you want inside the body, muscle cells, whatever is needed within the body. Okay? So what Deepak found was that if you allow the body to release the emotions, to open up into the emotions, not with any story, the actual blockage unblocked. And you can use whichever method you want. There are so many different methods available to open up the emotions. But this is the thing, it isn't like me phoning up and saying, I was driving and then my friend pulled me off, and it's not that. That's like me colluding with her and telling her, come and put mirchi and masala in my story. It's not a story, okay? That's me talking about my emotions and talking it away. It's like, you know what? I feel anger right now, and I feel it in my throat. And I just feel it. That's it. Just feel it. It's interesting. I had a client who came to see me from Canada. He had spent some time in Rishikesh and Haridwar. And he had said, so I did the journey process with him, and he said, you know what? Ganga ke kinare mein I have done the same process with a pandit. Can you imagine? When a pandit is going, open up into your emotions now. What is the emotion? Open up. And the holy hour is there. Because in the journey process, the way it works is you open up into your emotions first. And you go down through the emotional layers. So based on Rangana Maharishi's work, which is a process of inquiry. You're familiar with Rangana Maharishi? He is a great saint that within you. You do not need to go anywhere to find this divinity, you know. And he, of course, was a great Shiva follower. And for him, through meditative inquiry is what he gained enlightenment. So similarly, the whole process of meditative inquiry, how it relates to emotions, is you feel your emotions powerfully. And when you're honest with every emotion, there is nowhere else to go. So this is what Brandon found. When the first time she started to work on herself, she noticed that she had anger, felt it powerfully. The next level, she had fear. The next level, there was anxiety. And they got deeper and deeper, and then there was abandonment. So they get deeper the emotions. Now, if you allow yourself to powerfully feel that particular emotion, whatever it is, to really feel it in your whole being, what's left? There's sometimes it's what's called the unknown zone. To go, I don't know, I'm scared, I'm terror. I can't go anywhere, there's nowhere else to go. Just like in life. And if you open up into the unknown zone, all that exists beneath that and the heart of it is source. The journey is not a process of addition. I'm not adding anything else. It's a process of taking away. Because who we are is already whole. It's pure. It's a diamond. And so she almost combined this Western modern psychology with the ancient philosophy. She spent quite a bit of time with Rangana Maharishi. She spent time with Guru Maharaj, which is just here in Mumbai. She spent time with a lot of different masters and saints. She herself, put herself through the fire as well, right? And so she used this process, and her physical tumor, which was football size. Now, football, how big is that? Show me with your hands. Like, that's kind of big, isn't it big? I mean, that's a big tumor, okay? She physically noticed the tumor reducing in size. That's pretty profound. I myself, with my abnormal cells, they actually came out of my body on 21 days. Pus, white blood cells, so it can be a very, what I call, visceral process, physical process of coming out, okay? So then what happened is, she then started to use the process with adults. Little thought rose, what about children and teenagers? Because a lot of the issues that were arising were actually early on in life, as many of you may already know. Before the age of 7, our subconscious is like a sponge. We take everything in, whatever's being told to us, we just sponge it in. And that's when many of our beliefs are formed as well. And so the thought arose, what about actually working with children and teenagers? And that led to a clinical trial being conducted in South Africa, where they got 4,000 children. And actually the reason it came about is there was a lady called Raksha, and she had a child. The child was ADHD. You know this? Attention deficit syndrome, yeah? And basically the headmaster said, get your child out of here, don't do anything to your child. It's done, over, the school cannot cope. And she said, please give me 3 months. Please, she begged and pleaded. They said, okay, 3 months is all you've got. The child is not improved, the child has to leave. And so then she found the Journey for Kids book by Brandon. She read it cover to cover. And then she decided to use the process with her child. And she read the process out for the child. And what they discovered was, when the child was 7 or 8 years old, was in school, and there was a supply teacher. You know that supply teacher? It's like a temporary teacher. You know what I mean by temporary teacher? Like they come in because the main teacher is not available. What is that called here? Substitute teacher. Substitute teacher. So they had a substitute teacher in. And the boy was like, welcome. Okay? The boy was writing. There's a writing English class. And what does he write the words? And his normal teacher knew that he couldn't write the words and would support him with that. Okay? And so then the teacher said, look how stupid you are. You can't even write the words. Shut up. I can't even write the words. I'm so stupid. Now what they didn't know was the child couldn't see close up. The child could see the board, but the child couldn't see close up. He didn't know how to write. When I was looking, it was like, it seemed like words on a page. That's what was going on. And so when this child receives the journey teacher was not there to make the child's life horrible, but it was a motivation mechanism. But that teacher did not know any better. And so then that boy went through a process of forgiveness. As the boy went through a process of forgiveness, this particular boy went to the top of the class. The top of the class. From being in the bottom of the class to being kicked out of school to the top of the class. How profound is that? So in South Africa, they conducted this 4,000 study because they were curious as to would it help anybody, any child, any teenagers, only those with learning difficulties. And they put the class in 3 different groups. One group was receive the journey. It's a 30-minute visualization for children. And I'm going to actually get you to experience it because we have such a small group here today. I wouldn't normally do it, but we're just going to actually play with it with you and see what happens, okay? And so it's 30-minute visualization. We do this story time between 5 and 8-year-olds in the classroom. It's like once a week they receive it. And then for the ones who are a little bit older, there's some more creative ways of doing it up to the age of 13. After someone is above 13, they're ready for the adult's journey. And so what they found is those children who received the journey once a week, they went 3 groups. Received it once a week, those who received it every 2 weeks, and then those who received it as and when needed. So like that is probably the standard state today. Something is wrong with the child, you take them to the child psychologist, you give them additional help. So it was like 3 natural groups. What they found was those kids that received the process as and when they needed it followed a standard curve. This is normal standard curve. Some good students, some average students, some poor students, some average students, some excellent students. It's just a normal standard curve. Then those children who received it every 2 weeks, their average grade was around a B. Okay? Those children that received it once a week, and again they had no issues presenting problems, their grades improved by 50% to a 91% pass rate. And what they noticed with that particular group is they had less fear. The way they did not conduct the study, did they have more happiness? For some reason they did the reverse. They had less fear. They had less unhappiness. That was one of the measures. They had less low self-esteem. So the contrary to that is they were more confident, more happy. Yeah? And the education ministry in South Africa got hold of the data, and they have now introduced it as part of the normal curriculum in South Africa. Isn't that incredible? Isn't it? Now, when I was here to talk, remember I was to talk here, some of you were here for my EFT talk, and I said I have a great vision to introduce this work into schools, universities, hospitals, not just this work, EFT, NLP, all the positive psychology, so that we can set our youth up for the future. We can set ourselves up to support the youth as well. Well, this is how I met this gentleman, and his other name is Swami also. And he actually has an NGO, and he's committed to actually helping children. And I met him literally like within the next day. I put the prayer up that send me people who work with teenage. Okay, then this morning I get a phone call from someone in Singapore, and they are currently building a massive infrastructure in Bangladesh and in India and in Pakistan to introduce positive psychology to children. Literally, I had the phone call this morning at 6:43 a.m. because of the time difference at the time I did the phone call. And so he is interested in me and my college actually developing a bespoke module for them, which they will train the teachers in. And then the head teachers can teach the other teachers and then bring it in as part of a module in the schools. Isn't that incredible? Just to that one wish of the EFT session we had together last week, so you were part of that vision manifesting and coming true. Now since then, what has also happened is the journey has something called an outreach program. Because some schools cannot afford to be able to go on some of the programs that are available. And so from time to time, specific people are sponsored. So we sponsored someone called Ravi. He owns an orphanage called Children of Mother Earth, and he owns an orphanage in Lucknow, in Delhi. He has some other things, 300 children. And Ravi, for him, he has no children of his own. He's a single parent to all these 300 kids. For him, that's his destiny. He does not see his destiny as going into the family life. And all the 300 kids, they call him their papa hero, my hero papa, you know, and he really looks after them. And what he found was, he picked up kids from the street, literally lifted them off the street, from glue sniffing, from their eyes being poked out, from begging, from prostitution, from all kinds of things that these children were being encouraged to do by their parents. It was by their parents as well, you know, because it's about survival as well. So they needed money in some way, and kids is sadly a great leverage, you know. That child that is begging with the eyes gouged out will get more money than a child is, and it's sad but true, you know. And he picked them, he gave them all shelter, khana, food, shelter, education. And he thought these kids should be happy. And he could not understand the reason why these kids were not happy. He's like, but I've given them everything, and some would even go back. They go back on the street, and have to go and pull them back and bring them back to the orphanage. And the orphanage had everything. They had a mother's love, they had teachers, you know, they had like a wonderful. Are we going? Is it because my shawl is coming close to that? Is that the reason? Okay. And so, what he found was the kids who received, so what he did is, he learned the journey process and he taught the other teachers. And what he found is those kids who received the journey process, that they were happy and they did better marks. But you know what? There's no point you hearing it from me. I want you to hear it from them. Because we got them on video. I was with them at Christmas last year, because every Christmas they put on a play, a Christmas play. And they really work hard to put on this Christmas play. And then they came on stage and they shared their own story. Okay? All their surnames are Manas, and these videos are created such that you cannot tell their name, because you have to protect every child. You cannot reveal their name until a certain age. But all their surnames are Manas, because, you know, they have the same dad. Very short segment. Does come eventually. But you can hear it, so you might have to come close.
Two or three childhood memories which
She had 2 or 3 childhood memories. It's slow, it should come up. This is downloading it. Not working, the mic is working.
without disturbing me. With the help of journey process, I was able to face those memories, and now I feel
With the help
much more expressive and confident. And those memories never haunted me again, and for that I would like to thank Majan.
Ma Janki is a spiritual name of Brandon. And Janki is a spiritual name. So that's part of the, did you get the gist of what she said? Okay, there's the other child, I'll just, second one. Just takes a little time, you just have to be patient.
To share my experience about the journey process. It was only one of childhood memory which came in my mind during the process. After the procedure, I feel more confident and free. And I think it even helped me to do better in my studies. I would like to thank
get it? You heard them? You got them? Well, this is their words. I don't know, but they're not prompted. They did it themselves, and every single child, all 300 will tell you the same thing. All 300 got a benefit from it, yeah, receiving it. And I want to share something else with you as well. So I mentioned that how in South Africa it's being part of the curriculum.
Thank you.
And in South Africa they do something else with the journey as well. There's a train that goes out into all the villages. And the reason the train goes out into the villages is because in the villages there can be gunshot wounds, there's crime, there's burns, there's all kinds of, you've heard the stories in South Africa, yeah? I can't remember what the villages are called, but they have a specific name. It's sort of almost like shanty towns, yeah? And the train goes in and they first get stabilized with a doctor. So there's a medical team on board and then they go and get a journey process. So that they're able to release and come out of the trauma. Like in my case, you might recall the last time we met, I fractured 3 bones in my body, my coccyx, my tailbone, my sacrum. I was so fortunate to have the journey skills at the time. I was able to wind the cameras back to the moment before the impulse arose to have the accident. And I was able to uncover a wound because I had journey skills. I could clear that wound and heal so much faster. In fact, the doctors had predicted that I may not even be able to walk. There you go. So I want to play this particular now, the journey out of the train.
Attempts to break this downward spiral often end in failure. Atrocities continue through generations in some of the worst hit areas, and people lose hope. A new approach is needed, an approach that seeks to heal communities through treating the source of the problem and not just the effects. Journey outreach and the Pillow Paper healthcare training start from this point, using guided visualization to access the inner aspects of participants.
What we do with the journey is this. We allow people to really open into their higher self, into the diamond that's inside all of us, and from that place to really revisit and empty out any associated emotionality that's with the old trauma, to come to a place of natural forgiveness. When we've emptied out completely, forgiveness is our natural state, and that forgiveness is hugely healing for us in terms of physical bodies and in terms of our being. So what we're finding is that the journey-guided introspections that we use with people, particularly here in South Africa, is allowing them to free themselves up emotionally, to free themselves up in terms of healing that happens in the body out of that. Behavioral changes enormous of it as well. People relax, they open, they're able to live life in a healthy way.
Yeah, it is just the surface manifestation of something that's gone wrong emotionally often. And so if we can deal with that, we're not into that outward expression of that.
There's great excitement when the journey practitioner enters the school. I can tell you that the moment she's inside, everybody's excited. My HOD, who was the teacher in the class, has found that just after 4 sessions with the learners, there has been a tremendous change. In fact, when we thought most of them were not fast and not able to